It's Thursday night, and this is Tackle Shop Live.
Sunny day, right there you took my breath away. Young and pretty, was it just a dream? The next day,
what's up, Patrick Kingery? Good to see you, buddy.
You came over and you fell into my arms. Well, I know what I feel. Please tell me your love is real. You make me smile when I think of you.
Jeremy Macbeth, what's happening, buddy? Stacks Fishing, how you doing, pal? Yeah, man. C. Benninger, what's happening? Conway, how are you, pal? Yeah, Randall Miller's here. Choke, what's up, man? Tim H, what do you say, buddy? Matthew Weimer, how you doing, Matthew? Good to see everybody. Alvin Valentine, what's happening? Joseph Cascarino, buddy, how you? What's up, Alvin? Greg Anderson, how you doing, man? Robert Mills is here. David Schottermeyer, holy. Gio Miller, Mark, how are you? Jeff Santangelo, how are you, Jeff? Good to see you, pal. Greg Anderson's here. Yeah, man. Gilbert, Mikey Barr, how are you, Mike? Good to see you, pal. Ronald Canar's here. Michael Bradley, Jeffrey McCormick, Jeffrey Reed. Hey, man, I got everybody here tonight. We got a great show for you. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Tackle Shop Live. And it's Thursday night, so we're pumped and ready to go. We have a great show for you. Good to see everybody, man. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. And I know we did. We had a great Thanksgiving. And getting ready for the holidays, man. We're in full swing for the Christmas season. We are decorating, man, wife's got me decorating everything. Christmas trees up, ready to go. And the spirit is in the air, man. I'm telling you, it's getting Christmassy vibe going on. I tell you what, it's cold enough out there too. We might have a white Christmas this year. We might have a shot at it anyway. Don Roeder, Troutman. That's right. Yeah, it's all good. Carlisle, how you doing, man? Mike Hayer, good to see everybody. Yeah, so man, taking care of a lot of Christmas gifts right now, and things are going crazy with that. So it's definitely full swing Christmas stuff around here. But for all you new guys, my name is Mike Acord. This is George Acord. Cameraman Nick is at a Christmas banquet tonight, so he couldn't make it with his work. So he had to do that. But he wanted us to tell you guys how you doing, hi, and how you doing. He hopes everybody had a great Thanksgiving also. Some schedules that we want to discuss right now. Get your pens and paper out. We're going to have the show tonight, of course, and then next week, the 18th, December 18th, we're going to have our show on Thursday night, regular time, and special guest Greg DePalma is going to be here. And, that's always fun talking with Greg and going over a bunch of stuff with Greg. So he's going to be here for that live in the shop. And then it's Christmas week, and that's going to be an off week. We're going to be off for Christmas week. Just can't kind of figure out how to get it in there. But then the following week for New Year's, we got to do a show. So we're going to do it on December the 30th, Tuesday, December 30th. It's going to be a Tuesday night at 7, same exact time, 7:00. But on Tuesday night, that's the week of New Year's. So that's going to be December the 30th. So put that in your calendars. That's going to be a schedule change for the show. Next week, the 18th, it's going to be on Thursday night, the same, off for Christmas, and then November 30th. And that'll finish out the year, and we'll move into 2026 after that. So little housekeeping there for everybody. Also, don't forget, the show season is going to be starting, and Bass Fest is coming up quick. January 9th and 10th in-house here at the shop is going to be Bass Fest. So mark your calendars. You don't want to miss it. I know a lot of you guys have been here. A lot of you guys have came to the event over the years, and you love it, and we love doing it. And we're going to have the big heated tent, lots of great seminars, lots of great everything, door prizes, and great sale. And we're going to have pros here walking around. We have some great pros that we have lined up, and we're getting more every day. So it's going to be a really good event. Again, that's January 9th and 10th. Bass Fest 2026, right around the corner. Make your plans. And if you have any questions on any part of that, we have some, if you want to stay for both days, there's great hotels around the area. We can help you with that also. So that takes care of that. Oh man. Sometimes it's really hard to get gifts for, that person on your list. Well, we came up with a little idea a couple weeks ago, kind of threw it together, and it was the SFT Boys money boxes. And the idea was, it would be a kind of a surprise box that you would get as a gift. And it's handpicked. It's, George and I, the go-to tackle that we always fish, not some crazy stuff, but the stuff that we always fish, the hardcore stuff. So we put some boxes together. We have them for smallmouth and largemouth. You can pick either one. They are $50, $100, $150, and $200 in each category. You can pick out whatever one you want. And what we do is we just go out and we thought this out. We have our list that we kind of want to do, but we kind of veer in and out. Not all the boxes are the same. Not all the boxes are the same, because it's hard to really go one way on everything. Sometimes you got to sway off there. So it's kind of neat for us to go through, and then we write up a little paper on each lure that we're giving you, and give you some tips on it, how we fish it. And then if there's some rigging involved, we rig them up and we put them back in the bag, and we have some rigging stuff on there. So it's thought out. We think about this hard. We take it very seriously, and we really pick out the stuff that it's got to have tackle. It's got to have stuff in your box. So that's the SFT Boys money boxes is a great gift idea. And you can go online and pick one out on there and hit the button. And next thing you know, you're going to have a box show up at your place. You can wrap it then and give it to whoever as a gift. And I'm telling you, it's going to be a home run. Or, hey, you might want one for yourself, and it'll be a great little deal for you. So I know George and I are having fun doing it. I tell you, we didn't realize it was going to take off like this. So we've been really busy with them. But we've done a lot of them, and it's just a great idea. It's a great concept. It's not a made up box. It's a personalized hand picked box. And that's what we wanted to do, something a little bit different, for a Christmas gift. So, check it out, go online, sfttackle.com. You can click right on there, and you'll see the money box banner right on the front page. You can click on there, and get yourself one of those for a gift or one for yourself. The other thing that's really popular, and I know guys are struggling all the time with Christmas gifts, is the SFT tackle gift card. You can go on the website and buy a digital gift card, or you can come in the shop here and get one for somebody. And we have those gift cards for you as another great Christmas gift idea. I tell you, fishermen love gift cards. And I know you guys, a lot of you guys get them. A lot of you guys come in here, and it's pretty cool to see that. So that's all available. It's some great ideas for you, and that'll help you with your Christmas shopping, I hope, as that's what we're here for. We're here to make your Christmas life easy and make it happy, and we'll do our best for that. So that's really cool. So that's the big deal for the notes for the show. I haven't done any fishing. George and I were off on vacation for a couple of days, went down to Florida, and spent some time with some buddies of ours that don't fish. So, but it was nice to get out of town and soak up some sun, and then get recharged to come back and tear back into this great game of tackle. So every week we do a great little segment. It's called Rig of the Week, and it's brought to you by Nomad Designs, and they are the makers of some great tackle, and they do the live ops, they do their hard bait series, the Nomad Design hard bait series, and they have some great hard baits and crankbaits, and they do the Greg DePalma finesse jig and swim jig. So we're big fans of them, and they got on board, and they wanted to sponsor our Rig of the Week with a $25 gift card to anybody who gets on our live. And you got to like it, you have to share it, and you have to comment, or you have to comment in the comment section at Nomad Designs, and that will get you in the drawing for the $25 gift card. Last week's drawing winner was Jim Orwig, a longtime listener. Jim's been on the show for probably since it started, so it was nice to have him win, and so he was the winner for last week. And for this week, our winner for the Nomad Designs $25 gift card is Chris Haddad. Chris Haddad, you won the $25 gift card for this week. So whether you contact us or we'll contact you, but we'll get a hold of you, and you're the winner of the $25 gift card from the last week's show. And Jim Orwig was the winner last week for the week before show. So lots of great gift cards flying away. Make sure you go on there and you like and share, and you put in there at Nomad Designs and click on their pop-up there, and that'll register you for the drawing. George, this is the Rig of the Week. What do you got going on for Rig of the Week this week?
Well, Mike, I'm gonna go with a tried and true, the drop shot rig.
I mean, come on.
I'm pretty sure everybody watching on here is like, how are you going to talk about the drop shot rig?
You got to talk about
everybody drop shots. Why would you make that the rig of the week? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Pay attention.
I'll tell you why.
I'm going to show you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different things to tweak your drop shot, and how to drop shot in places where no drop shot has gone, or very few have.
And
I mean, it's like anything, right? Every rig evolves.
It does.
Do you recall our show about 2 years ago when we had Matt Stefan on and we talked about the hover rig?
Oh, yeah.
You and I were exposed to balancing plastics with internal nail weights in the late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And it changed the way we fished.
Yeah.
I mean, we put finishing nails in sluggos and free-falled them so that they looked like they were swimming down, and we just caught, and to this day we still do that.
Yeah.
Maybe not with sluggos, but with
super flukes. And
now it's called the hover rig. So, rigs evolve, and crafty fishermen modify and tweak tackle, to make that better. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about we're going to talk about the drop shot rig beyond the basics.
Right.
Um,
Good stuff.
You know, I've told the story on here before about a springtime spawning tournament, BFL tournament that I was in, where, you know, the night before the tournament, I found these just a whole pocket just full of big fish ready to go on bed and on bed.
Yeah,
Big fish. I mean, like 4s, 5s, 5.5, stuff you look for forever.
Yeah.
And I found it.
Yeah.
And the next day, you know, I went in there. I even drew out of a 180 boat field. I drew like boat 2.
Oh,
I mean, it was like destiny, right? And I had a long run to get there. And those fish would not bite. They would not bite. I caught a couple of the smaller bucks, and, you know, there was pressure there, and those fish just would not bite. It was shallow water. There was pressure, and it was the weekend, you know, and it was just a tough bite. So out of desperation, I started flipping a wacky rigged Senko on a drop shot rig. And, you know, I lost the tournament on the fish that I lost at the boat because of the wrong hook. So, you know, we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about the right hooks evolving.
Well, even that rig, the wacky rig Senko drop shot, is kind of evolved from what the original drop shot was. This was that was kind of, at the time, was really new. Nobody really was doing it. There was a few guys doing it, but
yeah, I mean, that situation that I highlighted for you there is you know, that was a 7-foot heavy powered rod, 20-pound fluorocarbon, 3/0 hook. Wrong hook. It was a wrong hook, but it was a 3/0 hook, and a 5-inch Psycho. You know, and we also have a number of people that we fish with and know who drop shot finesse wacky rig baits for smallmouth.
Yeah.
So, you know, just changing your style of rigging from, you know, traditional nose hook, Texas, what have you, to drop shot is a tweak on the wacky rig. I mean, the drop shot rig.
Yeah.
Now, what I figured out was, for me, for, you know, the heavier wacky rigging of a Senko or what have you, whatever you want to wacky rig. I mean, you could wacky rig you know, with a Nico hack, you could wacky rig a G-crack bellows gill, you know. But I found out that I like a sturdy, straight wire, you know, weedless wacky hook, you know, like a Mustad, and you know, without our camera guy here, you guys just have to bear with us. But it's a Mustad wacky. You know, I like this Titan wacky. I don't know what they call it. I call it the Titan wacky. I think they changed the name on it. Yeah, Titan X wacky. Now that hook doesn't look like a super heavy duty flipping hook. It's not, but it is stout. And I've caught big fish on this. I have backed down my rod to a medium heavy. I think the first thing about that situation is that I learned on that day was to go from a heavy and 20 to a medium heavy and 15. That's plenty of rod for big fish. For like a power drop shot that we're doing. Whether you wacky rig or Texas rig, it's kind of the same deal. It's a power shot. So that hook, I've had really good success even with the VMC, the bigger sizes of their Nico hook. No, very, very little flex. not having those lost fish issues. Again, backing down to the medium heavy rod, 15 fluoro. Now, interestingly enough, you're in shallow water for a lot of this. So, I'm still only using like a 1/4 ounce weight because it's, 3, 4, 5, 6 foot of water. And the other thing I learned with this is I'm shortening the leader up a little bit. I'm running like a 9-inch leader, 10-inch leader, something like that. 8, 9, 10-inch leader. And it's just the action of getting that bait up off the bottom, whether they're on a bed or whether they are in a bedding area. Or even if it's, a post-spawn scenario where we're actually flipping grass. Now, what I'm doing there is I'm taking that same power shot technique, but I'm supercharging it. So now I'm going to 20 pound. Okay. Grass clumps, not like mats, not like punching. You can't punch with this rig, but like grass clumps. Okay. Now I'm going to a super line hook. Super line hook, 4.0. Okay. Beaver style bait, like a sweet beaver. If you're around fish, and you want to keep it simple, if you stick with a beaver style bait, now whichever one that is to you, that's fine. Last year I got on a little bit of a, stuck in a little bit of a rut with the Nori's front flapper. Loved it. But for many, many days and years, the sweet beaver. But my point is, if you're around fish, let's say it's spawn / post-spawn / early summer, and you're either in pads, pad stems, if it's earlier, pads, clump grass, milfoil, clumpy milfoil. Okay, picture all that in your mind. Even hardcover, even lay down trees, if or boat docks. And you can't get bit on this style of bait. And you're around fish. Do not leave those fish. Do not leave that area. Okay. I'll paint a little picture for you. You power fished it with a chatterbait, which we're going to talk about later tonight. You may have done a couple other spinnerbait. You may have, crank, whatever. But when you get the long rod out and you start picking it apart and you're like, man, these fish are here. I can't get bit. Do not leave. Okay. We talk about all these different techniques that are great for making those fish eat. We just got done talking about the Nico rig. Great. But now we're in a little bit of thicker cover, and they're bigger fish. You get a super line hook, a beaver style bait, rig it on a drop shot, but with just a short leader, like 6 to 8 inch leader. And just pitch that, do everything the same, but now that bait's just up off the bottom. And a lot of times, especially on a tough bite situation, this is really good. And you'll actually forget to do it. We get so caught up in our routines that, this is one of those things that it really pays in the spring to rig one of these up and have it ready to remind you, because this is deadly. So this is kind of like power shotting, which is just a shorter drop shot, heavier line, heavier hook, super line hook, right? 15 pound test minimum, 20 max, shorter leader. It's kind of the same thing as like that it's one step heavier than that power wacky, where we're medium heavy rod, 15 fluoro, 8, 9, 10 inch leader, wacky rig, Sanko, those two. There's two. That's 2 for you to put in your hat. All right, now 3 things to do to rig your drop shot. Okay. Now we all know about the nose hook. All right. So the most probably famous drop shot rigging technique, you take your robo worm, which is probably one of the most famous drop shot worms. You take your nose hook, the little Gamakatsu, or whatever brand you like. There's so many great brands. This is a G Finesse, the Aaron Martin's drop shot hook. I mean, there's so many great brands. Just go back there in that aisle. There's 6 or 7 brands, all great. And, you just nose hook it. That's probably how everybody's got their foot in the door drop shotting. I would like to propose, don't do that. I would like to propose, come in the very end of the worm with your drop shot hook. Come up to the bend of the hook and bring your hook out. And thread it on like that. Okay, so that style right there is just superior in my estimation. I started doing that several years ago. I get more life out of my worms. Equal to hookup ratio. I mean, it's not something we can sit here and measure out. It works great. Okay. The second tweak that you need to do, and this is done very often with bulkier baits, like a minnow style bait. See what I can dig up here. In a minnow style bait. Let's see here. Here we go. So this is your traditional, shiner style bait. This is a Z-Man scented jerk shad. Comes 3.5, 4, 5, 6, 7. But a lot of times what we do, especially when we're smallmouth fishing, open water. This is for open water. You don't want to do this around cover, is we thread it on. And a couple things happen. One, it moves that hook back farther on that bait, which is like a short striking thing. So I like to measure mine up and kind of lay it out where I want my hook to come out. And this is a Laztec, so you got to take your time with a Laztec. We're going to call that good enough. And then, of course, you're already tied on. Then you just pull that up over the shank of the hook there. And get it on there nice and straight. And now, your hook is coming out the back of the bait, back farther. And if you look at this style of hook, and it can be, this is an owner cover shot. It can be a rebarb. It can be, whatever, Gami. But if you look at these hooks, they have really like serious keepers on them. So when that baby locks in, you know, you're not spending oodles and oodles of time trying to re-rig. You know, you're just essentially going to straighten it out and go to work. That little keeper up there. It's a fluorocarbon loop on that owner. It's a soldered piece of tin on the gummy. And other companies use different, you know, hard plastic keepers and whatnot. So that's called threading it on, right? And then, of course, not anything crazy, but if you're a straight up nose hooker and you do a lot of drop shotting, you probably catch a lot of fish. But when you get into like a cover situation, wood, grass, boat docks, hardcover, you know, you want to have a more snag-free approach. So just a simple straight shank with a keeper. Again, the same hook as we threaded with, and just a simple Texas rig. This one here is not really, I'm probably fringing it a little bit here, adding this on the list, because a lot of you probably do it. But if you don't, you need to know about that hook. It's got that nice keeper on it, right? That worm's held in place real great. I can kind of eyeball up where I want to be, and boom. Texas rig. Now, a lot of times if I'm fishing this on lighter tackle, I'll go ahead and bring the hook through and then back it up, and that gives me like a little bit of a channel through there. Aids with the hook set. So those are like three, and I granted I took a little liberty on that last one, but those are some tweaks to rigging the drop shot. Now, one thing that I tend to overlook is that a lot of people don't drop shot a lot. And we get a lot of drop shot questions. So I wanted to quickly take a second and just show you a very conventionally acceptable rigging method for tying up your drop shot. And I think for those of you who don't do what I'm going to show you, you're going to really appreciate this. It's going to really up your game. So let's get our fluorocarbon here. I got hooks all over the place here. The cleanup situation tonight is going to be drastic. All right, so obviously we're going to tie a Palomar knot. So we're going to get some line out here, and always start on the point side of the hook. Step one. Yeah. So on the point side of the hook, that's the part of the eye you're going to go through. And real simple. Take your line through. It's hard to see. It's hard to see line tying, guys. And pull out a nice chunk of line, 18 inches or so. And then bring your line back through. All right. And just tie a Palomar knot with a big long tag end. Now, the trick on this Palomar knot is twofold. You don't want to let that knot cinch up on itself because you'll weaken that line by forcing it tight. Secondly, that loop wants to naturally curve in that direction. And I want to take the point of this hook, and I doubt very seriously if you can see this against this black background. Probably not at all. But I'm going to take the point of that hook through that loop. That loop is naturally curling downward. I'm going to take the point of that hook through there, and I'm going to pull that loop up. Okay, but I don't want to let that knot get tight on me there. So I put my finger through that loop, and I moisten that, and I kind of slide that together, let it all come together loose, and I snub it up. Okay? Now, here's the trick. And I know a lot of you already know this. I know this is kind of basic, but we're going to talk about it anyways. For those of you who don't, this is going to change your drop shotting scenario. Take your tag end. This is where you're going to put your sinker and go down through the point side of the eye. And that's going to help to stand that hook out. I know you can't see that line, but it's going straight up and down. And then, of course, you just take your drop shot sinker and clip it on the bottom. Now, you know, there are different styles of drop shot sinker. There's the cylinder. And, of course, there's the teardrop. Cylinder and teardrop. In a lot of situations, there's not a big difference there. But if you get around some real snaggy, jaggy rock, always go cylinder. The cylinder will hang less often. And you just simply just put your line through the clip, pinch it, and you have a drop shot rig. Change your leader length. Now, here's something I do a lot. This is another little tip for you. If I want my leader shorter, shorten it up to my desired length. I do not trim that excess line. That excess leader line that's hanging out of that clip, I do not trim that. That way I have the option to go back long again. So don't trim that. Don't do that. And that's your rig of the week. That's your drop shot rig beyond the basics. You know, and I'll tell you, if you're not like a big time drop shotter, I would very much recommend you to become so. And essentially, there's no limitations to a drop shot. There's nothing that you cannot do that is not correct on a drop shot. Just like that day when those big fish were frustrating me. And they ended up frustrating me all the ways to the house. But at least I was hooking them. You know, I learned something that day. I learned it. You know, I sat down in the boat and I thought about a drop shot, and I looked down on the floor of the boat and there was a 5-inch black Senko laying, and I didn't have the right hook. And, you know, since that day, I have caught a bunch of big fish doing that. It's not an always everyday thing, but there are scenarios where that plays. And on smallmouth, there are definitely times when those smallmouth, especially if there's no wind blowing.
When do you use a close-eyed ring?
I don't know what that is.
The ring on the end of a drop shot.
Never.
You don't ever use it?
Because I used to use it when I had to go to a 3/4 ounce weight because of rough water. But now when I have to go to a 3/4 ounce weight because of rough water, I go somewhere where I don't have to go to a 3/4 ounce weight because of rough water. Because I learned that the Lake Erie is not fun like that, so I just don't go there.
Well, when you go up for them big smallies up in Lake Ontario and you're catching those fish deep like that, they'll throw those clips.
Oh, the heavier weights when you're on your northern swing,
yeah,
and you have to fish the heavier weights, particularly 3/4 and 1 ounce, you want to tie that on.
Yeah,
you want to tie that on. Now I use a lot of 5/8 on the St. Lawrence River with a clip, and I almost never have them throw that weight. And I've caught a pile of big fish with that weight. Now, is tying it on wrong? Absolutely not. I'll tell you a nice thing about the tie-on sinkers, Mike. And I know you're a big free rig guy. It's next to the chicken rig. It's one of your favorite rigs.
Yes, it is.
But that round-eyed drop shot weight is the standard go-to free rig weight. So you can now get double duty out of your tackle. I'm always a big one to minimize on tackle and get double duty out of it. The same hook for 3 or 4 things.
Yeah.
The same whatever. You can't always do that. Some stuff requires a specific piece of tackle that you need to pack. But the tie-on weights, allow you to double that up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I like the line tie. I had a situation up in Lake Erie or Lake Ontario. I just kept losing sinkers, and then I went to a line tie because it was just they were just insane fish. They were flipping around, flying, and those sinkers were just flying off left and right. And
some days they're just crazy.
They are crazy. And that was one of those days. So
keeping drop shots on the rod is a PETA, also known as a pain in the ass. Need some line keepers. Yes. We feel your pain on that one. Now, I have very sophisticated drop shot rods. I'm a big time, rod whore, as you might know. And I have very sophisticated weight keepers. I have rubber bands.
Yeah.
I have rubber bands around the butts of my rods to hook the sinker under, because the only other option is to take the sinker off. Take the sinker off and put it in your pocket if you're going to make a run in rough water, or else that drop shot rig will come undone and lasso every rod that it's next to.
Yeah.
Whether it's on the deck, whether it's in the rod holder, take a second, put a rubber band on the butt of your rod. All you got to do is pick the rubber band up, stick the sinker underneath it.
Yeah.
And that is that's my tip. Now, if you want to get fancy, you can get the Fuji line keepers.
Yeah.
The hook keepers.
Yeah.
The Fuji hook keepers, and put them on upside down on the butt of your rod. And then now the clamp on that's facing down, and you just clamp your line underneath it and tighten it up.
Yeah.
If you're bougie like that.
Yeah.
Me, I find that
there's a million. There's probably a million ways that different guys do things.
There is, but no matter what you do,
it's a pain.
It's a pain.
It's an absolute pain.
It's a PETA.
Yeah, it's a pain. Yep.
That's
all
good
right.
stuff, huh?
Yeah, great deal there with the rig of the week. Don't forget, guys, if you want to try to get your $25 gift card, make sure you like and share the episode on whatever station you're on, and in the comments put @Nomad Designs. And wait till it pops up and click on that, and then it'll automatically load it for you, and you are registered. So we'll have a next one. So congratulations to my paper. You were folding that thing up like origami. You were doing origami with my
Come on now.
Focus. Congratulations to Chris Haddad. I saw Chris jumped on there. So he's watching tonight. Congratulations to you with that one. And I also saw Jim Orig on here tonight, and congratulations to him for the week before. So contact me and we will work it all out with you guys. So there you go. All right. Well, we are a tackle shop, and we love tackle. And one of the great things about this show is we love talking about tackle, and we call this Tackle Talk. Oh, yeah. All right. So, George, what do you have new and exciting for us today in the world of fishing tackle? And I am going to go back on the camera, and I tell you what, this cameraman Nick stuff isn't easy.
No.
It's not easy at all.
No.
So I'm going to go out here and try to see what I can do for cameraman Nick.
Take your headphones with you.
I can hear you.
Okay. Well, you know, I was kind of like figuring out what I was going to do this week, as usual, and a couple things caught my eye when I was out working around in the shop the last few days. I was back there looking for something for helping a customer out, and a jig head caught my eye, and we may or may not have talked about it. If we did, it was a long time ago. And it's the bad little shad head from Greenfish. You know, if you followed this show for long, we're big Greenfish fans. You know, they are a quality. We're all about the quality. We are all about the functionality, and all that kind of good stuff. And you know, a lot of times this time of the year, whether we are open water fishing with forward facing or shallow water fishing, shallower, you know, like a wintering type area situation, you know, or like maybe you know, a lot of fish just they don't go as deep as you think in the winter, you know. So off current marina situation, you know, tucked in behind a break wall, there's going to be bait nearby. And the bait's going to be, in a lot of cases, small. You know, on our Susquehanna River here, a lot of the minnows that these fish live on in the winter, are like that big. So when you're fishing a 3.5, 4 inch little, you know, split tail shad, this is the scented jerk shad from Z-Man. You know, we use this a lot to forward face. We use this a lot just to kind of like let swing down through some suspended fish. You need a little jig head that's got a good keeper on it. And these guys have got, you know, one of my favorite keepers, which is the cylindrical collar style keeper. Trying to catch some of that light. There you can see it. There you can see it. I got to get real close. So those little cylinders are good for all types of plastics, but they're especially good for a Lastec. And again, Lastec, you got to be a little careful. You got to take your time. You know, rig it up there, get it right the first time. And, you know, pushing it up over that keeper is a little bit of a pain. One of the things I do with a Lastec is I grab the hook and I grab the back of the plastic and pull it like that. And then when you let go of it, it's all seated up real nice. Rather than trying to push it up over those keepers. And then you got the bad little shad jig head. Look how perfect that fits that minnow. And that Tennessee shad color is perfect on that Tennessee shad minnow. Look at that bad boy. Huh? So that's 1/8 ounce, 3/16 quarter, plain lead. And a Tennessee shad finish, which you see right here. Yeah, good stuff. Brian New signature model. And $6.49 for a 3 count. So it's not out of line in today's primo jig market, you know, with everything being primo on this.
Yeah, it's great. It's great for the straight tail stuff. You could put it on a paddle tail, fish the paddle tails on that thing. Good sturdy hook, but it's not real thick, so you could fish it on a spinning rod, light line. We've used it for a lot of different plastics, you know, Reaction Innovation little dippers and some even on some Kitech stuff.
Gotta admit, that's pretty nice, huh, Mike?
Put that on a diesel minnow, man, that thing's awesome.
Okay, so that is the Bad Little Shad Head. Now, the models we carry have the 1.0 hook. So if you're looking for that 3.0 hook, we don't stock it. This is more for your smaller baits, of which we fish a lot of. So check them out. Check them out, man. You can put your spark shads on there, like Mike said. You can put your little dippers on there. You can put your, you know, all your scented jerk shads and your baby Z2s, your 3.5 and 4-inch Kitech swing impacts. The list goes on and on and on. You know, the 1.0 jig head is very important in your box, especially in the winter. So that is that. I am going to talk to you about a rod and a reel next. Bear with me 1 second. I'll be right back. I forgot to grab them. It's only going to take like 30 seconds.
What's real?
Tatula MQLT.
I'll talk to you guys for a minute. Yeah, that camera stuff isn't all that easy. Oh, when old Nick is running that camera, I'm gonna have to give him a little bit more respect next time I see him, and make sure that he understands how difficult running that camera is. It's got a lot of focusing buttons on there that I don't know anything about, but I'm trying.
You know, while we're taking this nice long break here, it's a good time to reload with some refreshments too. Okay, guys, here's what I got for you. Talking about the drop shot rig, okay? I have, let's just say, now I mean I'm gonna go out on a limb. What I think is one of the best drop shot rods ever made. And it's not your traditional light powered drop shot rod. This is a showpiece. This is a extremely versatile rod too. This is called a drop shot rod, but this is as do-all as a drop shot rod gets. This is the GLX. I've been waiting for a long time to debut this rod for you guys. That's your GLX, Loomis GLX 863 DSR. So it's 7 foot 2 inches. And it's a 3-power drop shot rod. So it's almost like a jig and worm rod with a drop shot tip. So you have that little longer tip section, as you can see there, but you have a medium heavy rod. So, if you don't really like, that medium soft tip drop shot traditional rod, and speaking just for myself, I don't. This rod right here is like a hybrid. And what I like about this rod is, all your other finesse techniques, you're from a Ned head to anything on a ball head, what we just talked about. Fishing that on the ball head, this rod's perfect. Your Ned head, this rod's perfect. Your little micro jig, this rod's perfect. The list goes on and on. Drop shot, perfect. Shaky head, perfect. It's just a perfect power finesse rod. It's a finesse rod on steroids. And I'm so glad that Loomis made it because, they have great drop shot rods, but they have the traditional, 822 drop shot rod in every line of rod that they make. And that's fine. And it's a great rod. And I'm not here to debate drop shot rods with you. This is a hybrid. This is a unique rod. This has got a CI4 carbon reel seat. This rod is ridiculously light. This rod is ridiculously strong. The combination of the carbon used in this rod and the resins used in this rod that can't be used on lower modulus carbon rods because those graphites can't handle the pressure that they're being rolled at. K-guides from Fuji. You'll notice that those frames are rounded a little bit. They kind of bow out in the middle. That is designed so that if you get a line wrap on that guide and it wraps around here, generally speaking, when you tension that up, that wider midsection throws it. Now, is it 100%? No, but it's pretty close. Plenty of guides. These are SIC rings. This is a premium rod. I mean, this rod's $550. This is a premium rod. This is the kind of rod that you might want to ask Santa for. And if you're in that market. Now, the reel that we're going to talk about here, which would be beautiful on this rod, is the Daiwa Tatula MQ LT. Let's put her on here. Just take her for a spin. What's cool about this reel for a rod like this, this reel is very light. This reel is the 2500, the 3000, and the 4000 are 6.2 ounces. So you have a very light rod. You have a very light reel. You're going to have a pretty close to a balance point there. Right where that index finger and that top of that cork is. It's almost right dead nuts. Zion body, very, very light. One-piece body, the MQ, the monocoque. That big plate right there is your access into the gearing. So everything else is one piece, no side plate, screwed down. And just every other bell and whistle you want, 8 bearings, 1 roller bearing, carbon drag. The 2500, which we have here, is 34.5 inches of line per crank. And it holds 240 yards of 8. So if you're putting like a 15 or a 10 braid on here, fill the spool halfway with backing, you're good to go. Interesting enough, there's a 3000. There's two 3000s. There's a standard 3000, D for deep, which is kind of like this. Then there's just a 3000 with a shallower spool. That 3000 holds 160 yards of 8. So it's a bigger diameter reel, but it holds 80 less yards of line. So you have less line that you're not using on there. And it's 36.8 inches per crank on a full spool because it's a bigger diameter spool. And they're both 22 pounds of drag on the carbon, drag washer, super smooth, lots of other cool features in the intricate internals of this reel. $199.99, not a bad price. So check that out. Tatula MQ. You might want to put that on your new GLX drop shot rod, your DSR 863S. Yeah, that's good stuff. Mike, what is your favorite perfect, if you could design one drop shot rod like for drop shotting? What do you like?
What rod do I like?
What do you like? What's your favorite?
I like that kind of action. I like I like the true drop shot action, the more moderate taper, but I like power. I like power. I don't like a real whippy rod, so I like a little bit more medium heavy power to it. But really, one of the rods that we've done super awesome with drop shot and with for years was a 6.8 medium extra fast that we had in the boats that we drop shot with as a secondary drop shot rod or whatever, and did that too. But if I was buying a drop shot rod, it would be more of that moderate, a little bit more moderate taper and medium heavy action.
Yeah, I like the before this rod came along, I always used my 852s, which are 7.1 extra fast medium rods, NRXs. And they're I mean, I do everything with those, but they handled bigger fish on a drop shot well. Then this rod came along, and it was, like I say, it's kind of like a hybrid. It's got kind of everything you want in a finesse rod, and it's a great drop shot rod. So I've been dying for a chance to bring that rod up on Tackle Talk, but you almost got to be talking about some drop shot fishing to do that. So, yeah. Now, the last thing I got for you guys, and this is just going to be a quickie here because, in the fall of the year and the early winter, we throw glide baits until our arms fall off. Matter of fact, I wanted to talk about that last week, but time did not allow. So perhaps next week, when we have GDP on, we will broach the subject of glide baits. But again, I was out helping a customer the other day in the shop here, and we have a whole big section of bull sheds. Now, I wanted to point this. I know these things have been around for a long time. It doesn't mean you can't talk about them on Tackle Talk. It doesn't always have to be straight, fresh, through the door, brand new. I want to tell you how this guy, Triton Mike Buca, how far ahead of the game he was on glide baits. So, he was a guide specializing in Magnum spotted bass on Altoona Lake in Georgia. And he's pretty good. And the baits that he developed, he didn't have access to. So he made them. And these are like multi-jointed. Okay, so you got 3 joints. And they come in a 5 and a 6 inch. This is the bull shad, world famous. They come in a 5 and a 6 inch. We have swiveling hook hangers. One of the first guys to do that. We have 1X strong, 2X short shank, Mustad triple grips. We have resin bodies that he made this bait. So when this bait sinks to the bottom, it stands like this. Like a minnow feeding off the bottom. You can actually let that sink to the bottom and yo-yo it up. A lot of thought, a lot of experimenting, a lot of trial and error, a lot of paving the way for quite a few high quality, excellent garage builders to follow. Kind of pioneer, if you will. But this bait is unique because you can fish this bait fast, real fast. You can fish it slow. You can chop it. I mean, it does it all. It's just pretty much all glide baits will do all that stuff. But this was kind of like the first. And here it comes. Like the Jaws movie. 5-inch, 6-inch. Look at that, like, purplescent paint he's got on there. You know, if you ever seen a shad glisten in the sun, they got that violent purpley paint on it. 5-inch, 6-inch. Fast sink, slow sink. So the fast sink is a little heavier, obviously. The 5-inch is 1.5 ounces. The 6-inch is 2.35. The same baits in slow sink are 1.35 and 2. So obviously, if it's lighter, sink slower. The fast sink was made primarily to fish a little deeper. For what it's worth, if you like to run your glide baits in, 4, 3, 4, 5 foot range, 3, 4 foot range, get the slow sink. If you like the ability to not have to modify them and run them in that 4, 5, 6 range, get the fast sink. That's my experience on that. Great baits. Fish catching baits. If you're new to glide baiting, if you want something you can trust, these are great baits. They're $54.99 for the 6-inch, $61.99 for, $54.99 for the 5-inch, $61.99 for the 6-inch. That's very, very reasonable in today's glide bait market, and they flat out catch fish. The resume for this thing is it catches fish. And of course, he is just span this thing out to like all kinds of, colors. He even does a 4-inch. He keeps it pretty simple, as far as his standard colors. Of course, there's a bone, a dirty bone. There's a threadfin shad, a gizzard shad. But one of the baits I really like that he does, especially for the spring and the early fall, is the bull rat. Check this bad boy out. 2.2 ounces. You'll notice a little bit bigger hooks on there because of this lip. This is a wake bait. You can actually chop this bait and make it right next to a piece of cover like this. You can swim it slow. You can swim it medium. You can pull that pin out and put whatever color tail you want on there. That's just essentially a floating worm. The bull rat. $54.99, 4.75 inches, 2.2 ounces. Nice thing about his baits, you can throw them on almost any rod. Any, 7.4 to 7.7 heavy powered rod will throw these baits great. And I was over there talking to a gentleman about the other day, and I thought, you know what? Went back, I made a note in the old famous book, and I'm going to talk about that on Tackle Talk. Every now and again, you gotta dab up the great ones in this industry. Okay. One of the things about the fishing industry, particularly the bass industry, which is like its own little cottage industry, is there's a whole lot of me too. And I'm not saying it's bad, the me too, at all. As a matter of fact, in the case of point, the glide baits, I can't even name all the outstanding glide bait brands that came after. Somebody has to plow the field. You know, somebody has to go out there and plow the field, put the foundation down, and then we see who comes along. And I think next week we're going to talk about a couple more companies. We're going to talk some technique with Greg. You guys might not realize this, but Greg caught a couple of big-ass bags on the Elite Series this year on glide bait. Yeah. And we're going to talk about that, the drawing power, but we're also going to go down the road a little bit on, you know, what makes a good bait and what, you know, why is there a $59 bait and a $259 bait? And of course, you know, fishermen are great at like discussing these things, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to it.
It's fun to talk it. They're fun to fish.
George, when we were discussing the show the last couple of days, and you said to me, I want to talk about chatterbaits. I'm like, oh man, another chatterbait show. But you know, as with the drop shot, you had a lot of stuff that kind of is evolving through, you know, over time. Is this kind of the same type of thing you were thinking of with the chatterbait? Was it things that evolved and the baits have evolved and the trailers have evolved and all that kind of stuff that we need to kind of stay up with it?
That's part of the reason. The other part of the reason is pretty simple. You should have a chatterbait as your primary tool 75% of the year, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
The chatterbait. Now, I mean,
that's a lot of time.
That's a big statement. I mean,
yeah.
75% of the year, a chatterbait should be one of your primary, if not your primary tool. Search tool or primary catch 'em tool. So, you know, that's a bold statement.
That's a lot of fishing time with a bait.
It's a bold statement, you know, and you know, if you think about it, Mike, you know, the drawing power of a chatterbait is like second to none.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it, you know, we have tremendous selections of tackle that we wind. We have the square bill crankbait. You can do 5 shows in a row on that.
Yeah.
The spinnerbait.
Yeah.
The buzz bait, so on and so forth. Nothing, and I do mean nothing, beats the chatterbait.
Absolutely.
Chatterbait is the king daddy of winding baits.
Yep.
Spring, summer, fall, and a good portion of winter. Early and late. And depending on where you live at, if you're southeast, always and forever. So that's a big statement. But I can tell you, you have a lot of chatterbaits, and I can tell you, you fish with your chatterbaits a lot, but probably not enough. So I wanted to kind of get with Mike here, and we wanted to talk about, you know, some of the key elements of this chatterbait. So, Mike, you know, to me, it comes down to the trailer. So the trailer to me is the most important thing about a chatterbait. And it also comes down to the proper retrieve. To me.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that.
I think the trailer is one of the biggest things, and I think the blade color is very, very close to that. Very close to that. Blade color is just a big time triggering device.
So, you know, my rule of thumb on trailers is the clearer the water, the more subtle the trailer. So, for example, really clear water, I'm going to do a straight tail trailer. Of course, I'll play hell finding this stuff over here. Here we go. So, really clear water. I want a straight tail trailer. Now, don't make a mistake here. This straight tail trailer is also going to increase the hunting action of the bait. So there's a lot of them. There's the Hog Farmer collaboration with Missile, fantastic. There's the Z-Man Chatterspike, fantastic. And by a straight tail trailer, I'm talking about like just that right there. Just that straight tapered to a point. And what that does is I'm going to put that on my favorite combination. So this is going to be for like, medium clarity water. And let me put this together for you real quick. Okay. I always like to kind of eyeball that, figure out where I'm going to bring that hook out, especially with the Laztec. The Laztec, you want nice and straight, but you don't want to ever have to undo this. And again, grab it back here, grab it in the front. And pull. And you'll see it's easier than trying to push it up over the keeper. It's kind of hard to get a hold of, but right there we go. And now we are one of my favorite, like mid-clarity watercolors combinations is the green pumpkin and the black and blue. You got the painted green pumpkin blade, the green pumpkin head, the green pumpkin skirt, and that trailer on there. That in your mid color, I don't care if you're fishing grass, hardcover, if that water's got, a couple feet of visibility, and by hunting action with that straight tail, I mean, you're going to get a lot of this random. This thing is rocking back and forth. It's swimming to you, and then it just randomly kicks. It just comes out of its track. It's tracking, and then it's not tracking. It's tracking, and then it's not tracking. That hunting action is probably the number one strike-provoking feature of a good chatterbait. This is a jackhammer, of course, which possesses that quality. Not all blade baits are equal. We throw a lot of the jackhammer. We throw a lot of the tungsten Evo. Here's an example of a very excellent clear water color with a straight tail fish type trailer. So this trailer, you'll notice, is a fish type. That one's actually a little beat up. He doesn't have a lot of fish left in him. But he used to be a little better. So that's going to be your basic chatter shed right here. Chatter shed. This is the tungsten Evo. Nice thing about the tungsten Evo is it's got a great keeper on it, but it's got a tungsten head. So what I like about that is the sound. So when that blade's hitting that, if I'm having like not the kind of success I should be having with, my standard jackhammer, and I feel like there's fish that are not eating it, I'm going to go through that same area with this, with the fish style tail or the point, but a clear watercolor like that glitter bomb. But that blade hitting that head That head's smaller in diameter. It's running a little deeper for its weight. Enhanced, hunting action. So, the retrieve, not to simplify this to retrieve down, but first and foremost, you're going to start your day with, say, a steady retrieve. Okay? In your average watercolor. Everything beyond what you would call dirty. You're going to start your day with a steady type retrieve. Now, one of the things I like to do when I'm doing that steady retrieve is I like to pop the rod tip. So, it's retrieve, pop. I do the same thing with spinnerbait. I just want to throw some random in there. Pop. I'm getting that hunting action. Now I want to pop it, flare everything up. Just throw it out of whack. And, that retrieve, you're going to experiment with the speed of that retrieve from slow to fast or some range in between there. What you're looking for is that pace. And you need to get bit. You need to get bit, or you need to, miss a bite or two. And think about your bait color. When I say the chatterbait is an important aspect of your arsenal, I'm talking multiple rods. I'm talking at least 2 rods, if not 3 rods, rigged up with chatterbait. With a color range. The go-to colors. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. So, obviously, we highlighted the green pumpkin, black blue. Okay? So that's a go-to color. Green pumpkin, black blue, green pumpkin, green pumpkin. Okay, the standard trailer is the boot foot. That's your standard trailer. Does it perform better than a freeloader or a Chatterspike or a Hog Farmer / Missile Baits trailer? No. Whichever one you like, experiment with it. But by all means, make sure you put the boot foot in that experimental phase. Have a boot foot rigged up. Have a straight rigged up. Have a fish. That's a Zaco. That's one of our most productive ever trailers. Have that rigged up. Go through your paces. Now, we can kind of shortcut some of this depending on your forage base. If you're on a shad body of water, gizzard shad being the type of shad I'm talking about, or thread fins, but around here it's gizzard shad, you can almost always go to either a swim bait, a boot foot, or a fish. Zaco, this is a little dipper. Okay, if it's a shad body of water, you want some white. You want some white. If it's a little dingy, you want some chartreuse and white. If it's real clear, you want like an electric shad, white, blue glimmer. The green pumpkin shad. That's what you want there. If you're fishing a fishery that's primarily, a crawfish / like bait fish, like minnow type environment, that's when your green pumpkins, your black and blues are going to come into play. Okay? But you can't underestimate those trailer choices. Now, let's take this to the ultimate destination, what we're going for here. The dirty water. And I'm trying to make my point here on the trailer. So the boot foot and the crawl style, okay, in the dirty water. The boot foot and the crawl style. Okay. Now, got your crawl style trailer. Okay. The crawl style trailer, you get a lot of this. It can be a crawl. There's a baby menace on a Mini-Max. Can be a baby or a menace on a jackhammer, whatever. Typically in dirty water, I'm not fishing a downsized bait. I'm fishing the regular chatterbait. Black and blue. Black and blue. Black and blue. Black and blue. I like a little purple in there. Dirty water. A lot of times in dirty water, I go to a heavier bait. I go to a 1/2 ounce. I want to yo-yo. I want to cast it in. I want it to sink to the bottom. I want it to thump down on the bottom. And then I want to yo-yo it up a good 2-3 feet and then back down again. And pick up the slack and yo-yo it up and back down again. You got to follow it down on slack and watch your line. A lot of times that line will jump or just swim off. If you're getting bit in dirty water on the yo-yo, you're done experimenting. You're locked in. You're lucky. That's going to be your lucky day. Now, the other thing I found about clear and dirty water is one of the most biggest explosions in chatterbait history. The red. With the red. Okay? Deadly. But another combination I found that is really deadly in dirty water, especially if it's not like chocolate. You know, if you got, like if you're around grass, that grass will filter it a little bit. The green pumpkin with the red. That's the color. Now, you know, a lot of you guys and gals who are astute followers of the show, you know, are probably thinking that we're a little hypocritical here because a lot of times we don't put like a huge premium on color. In the chatterbait world, we do. You know, and what we're trying to do in this discussion here is we're trying to cover too much turf at once. We're trying to cover styles of retrieves. We're trying to cover color combinations. We're trying to cover, you know, the types of places where we throw these. You know, now obviously in the spring, this is a no-brainer. You know, I mean, if you're on a grass fishery, it's a no-brainer. If you're not on a grass fishery, it's equally a no-brainer. You know, you're starting on the same exact haunts that you would with any other technique. And, you know, very, very early pre-spawn out on the points and then working your way back. But the colors matter.
That's funny you say that because, you know, we if you look at our chatterbait boxes, they have a whole rainbow of colors in them. And to match every kind of situation or trigger the fish. And the fish see these things really weird sometimes. Like somebody's asking about what our best bay color is, you know, and you know, I have one, George has one, and Greg DePalma has one too that he really likes down there. But I like green pumpkin shad with the Zaco green pumpkin and pearl white trailer. And I know Greg DePalma likes the golden shiner. You know, he likes a golden shiner down there, which he turned us on to years ago. And a lot of guys throw that down there. You saw him throwing it in the tournament in the Open.
In the spring?
The Open.
Yeah, in the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the spring, I like to throw. I'm not going to say it's my number one only, but I typically start out with black and blue. And it's either going to be black and blue, or green pumpkin with black and blue. I like that in the spring. You know, now it's funny because, you know, those fish down there have a much wider variety of groceries. Everything from, you know, yellow perch.
Yeah.
To bullhead catfish. To herring, to white perch. But one thing they always gorge on, always, is crawfish.
Yeah.
And I mean, they gorge on crawfish. I fished a couple tournaments down there last spring, and I had to stop fishing multiple times a day and clean the intake screens off on my live well pickups because they couldn't pick up water.
Mm.
I would literally dive down in the live well and bring up a handful of crawfish parts and pieces.
Yeah.
Throw it in, do it again. Throw it in, do it again. Pump would start spitting and running good. And I mean, it was multiple times a day. So
yeah,
I think that's why that works so well.
Yeah. So the green pumpkin, the black and blue, you know, your for your perch, you want to do the green pumpkin shad. That's your perch color. And then, you know, summertime jumping into that golden shiner. But when you're, you know, the bay in the spring is never clean and you're dealing with some really dirty water. This thing, man, this color right here, this orange color, just catches big ones.
Everywhere I go.
This thing, if you're fishing really stained, muddy water, let's get away from stained. If you're in that muddy water, this freaking thing with that trailer George showed you is just a great bait to throw in that thing. So
I catch a lot of.
You can see how quick.
I catch a lot of smallmouth on this color combination too.
Yeah, you can see how quick your colors add up. You know, you know, in the Bassmaster Classic, we've seen that fella throw that Morning Dawn and made it into some kind of crazy bait, and people picked him up, and you couldn't get him. Lee Livesey, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, what the heck?" You know, and they get it and they start throwing it, and they're surprised as hell that they're catching fish on it. So, you know, that's why you'll end up with a bunch of different things. But you know, getting back to what, you know, another big point with this is the blade colors. You know, the green pumpkin with the green pumpkin blade, and the black with the black and blue with the black blade. They're giving off certain flashes. They're in the water. It's a natural flash when you're around grass, that dull flash. A gold blade. How important is a gold blade? Man, it's unbelievable. So you got to make sure you have your gold blades on there.
I like the gold blade a lot of times when it's cloudy out.
Yeah.
And I like a gold blade when I'm fishing grass.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's going to be in my rotation.
Absolutely. So there's a definite time for gold blades, and then you know, your whites, your real bright shad baits, you know, will have silver blades on them. But there's also dirty shad, which has a gold blade. They came out with that last year. They came
Dirty white.
Or it was called Dirty White. It's a shad bait that has a gold blade on it, because we were all screaming for, you know, a white with a gold blade, you know, for certain situations. So really, really important to have that. And then of course you want a few silver blades for those sunny days, and you extra high flash. You'll see that on your whites and your clear water shad colors and that kind of stuff. So
I mean, I think that's all terribly important, but I also think that the retrieve is terribly important. I mean, in my world, there's a multiple things happening at one time. We are in a heavy color experimenting mode, and we are in a heavy retrieve experimenting mode. There has been many a time with a chatterbait that going from a steady type retrieve, whether it's whatever speed, to a yo-yo retrieve has just changed the world, like changed it. And a lot of times I've noticed that is in dirtier water. It doesn't have to be like straight up mud, but dirtier water. And a lot of times I have, you get lucky every once in a while and you're given a clue. You actually get a clue. And a lot of times it's a short strike. And if you're not using a Aztec, if you're using like a little dipper for a trailer or a rage crawl for a trailer or whatever the case may be, a lot of times those short strikes, you set the hook, you miss the fish, you lose your tail. Okay. And then that happens again. Well, you need to be like you can't be just brain dead out there, just brain dead chunking and winding. I mean, you can, if that's what makes you happy, but if you can really pick up on that quick, if you've got that swim bait on and that's happening to you, stop, put a crawl on, and start yo-yoing. And that
absolutely.
And that's a.
I got one more question for
you,
George.
That's a clue that you're lucky to get, and I just think it highlights how and I guess what I'm getting at is I fish with a lot of different people, and when we get on a chatterbait bite, a lot of people that are fishing with me, they just cast it out and reel it in. And if they're not catching fish, they're just like, I just don't get it. What I'm using the same color you're using. I'm using the same trailer you're using. I'm using the same line you're using. I just don't get it. I can't get it. It must be that because you're in the front of the boat. Well, if I'm river fishing, I like to point out, well, we're floating backwards down river, so you're getting first crack at everything. It's, focus and make whatever adjustment you need to make to that retrieve, because the retrieve you're doing ain't right. And when you do make an adjustment, which is usually a sophisticated wild-ass guess, and you make a connection, man, it feels good. And you learn something that you'll never, ever forget in fishing. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Even to the point where, you're fishing in grass and you get kind of catching up in the grass, that ripping it out, that popping it out of the grass, and that movement, instead of just pulling it out of the grass, you're ripping it out of there and chopping it out of there. That's a whole retrieve, throwing it out and just catching the top of the grass is one thing, but really getting it down in there and ripping it out of that grass. And that's a whole nother way of fishing it.
Now you went and got into something else. Do not tune out of Tackle Shop Live. I don't know what you could possibly have on your schedules tonight that's so freaking important. But now
we had a question on here, George, about the size.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. So now what Mike's getting at is ripping it out of the grass like that. Now's when you got to start calibrating in the size of the bait. For example, if you're fishing tidal water and you started your day on high tide and you were fishing a 1/2 ounce because of wind, water height, current, etc., to get in that grass, and now you can't even retrieve your bait properly, you're ripping, you look like you're trying to cut a tree down. Again, take it off of autopilot, pay attention. You need to go to a lighter bait. You need to downsize to a 3/8 ounce bait. Now, as that season progresses, and let's just stick with that grass. As the season progresses and the grass matures, that distance from the surface to the grass is even less. Plus, that water's getting a lot clearer. Now we got some new bullets.
You got weapons.
Bullets
Bullets
in the gun.
loaded up.
First, we had the long-range AT&T half-ounce. We had the 3/8 ounce sniper. Now we have the baby jack. So now we go all the ways down to a quarter, right? Full size, or baby, full size, same weight. Smaller hook, smaller body, smaller profile. What's nice about it is it's going to fish lighter. A trailer is going to add buoyancy to it. And this 3/8 is going to fish lighter than that 3/8. And this comes in a quarter. So now we can get over top of that grass, or we can get in really shallow hardcover water, super clear water, downsize our profile. Very, very important to the complete chatterbait angler. Everything else we talked about was big time important. Now we have a turn a page. We have a new chapter. We have the baby jack. Now, you're going to have to experiment with your trailers on this. What I have learned so far on the baby jack is if they're not like just committing suicide on your bait, then the straight up like Little Dipper type trailer ain't it. This bait does not hunt real well with the average boot foot on it. So I have gone to 3 trailers on this. Here's a baby jack with the 4-inch. Here's the 3.5 inch. Here's the 3.5 inch Z-Man. There's the 4-inch. So with the 4-inch, this is pretty awesome. This gives it some great hunting action. It acts very much like a straight tail, tapered tail. This acts a lot like a, what would it be? A 3.5 inch Hog Farmer Missile Baits collab, which is a great trailer on here.
Mm-hmm.
The other one that's really good on here is the 3.5 inch Chatterbait. So here we go. We got our favorite color for bait fish, green pumpkin shad. We have our chatter shad, 3.5 inch in the deal. Great bait fish color. This gives us great hunting action. This gives us great profile. And once you get this sucker rigged up on here, a little bit like that. Now you have your fishtail, you have your body, and you have a hunting action. This little setup right here, 3.5 inch chatter shad, baby jack.
Tear 'em up.
If you're around shad, decent water clarity, you need to get over top of shallow water grass, or you need to fish shallow water, or you need to match a smaller profile, this bad boy is money.
Gets it done.
That is your baby jack. But, we did start this show off by saying you need to make the chatterbait your primary weapon almost completely year-round. And that can be hard to do on a summer like this, where we had extreme drought. If you're a river fisherman like we have around here, it was so low and clear. If you're a tidal water fisherman, there was some tough times. But BFS saved the day. And we have a BFS chatterbait. We have the Micro Max. And again, we found out that not just any trailer will work. We need something a little more straight-tailed to get that hunting action. So throw a couple of those in your box to match those conditions that you're going to encounter more than likely a couple times a year. Micro Max. Baby Jack, Micro Max. Big difference in the blade size. Great results on this summer when it was real low and clear. So whoever asked that question, does size matter? Yes, it does. So does trailer. Remember the rule of thumb. The clearer the water, the more neutral the trailer. You want that less kick, more hunt. The dirtier the water, the more kick, up to the point of the crawl style bait where you're getting a lot of kick. Mm-hmm. You know, you straight retrieve a crawl style bait, you're really moving it. Remember those lessons. Size of the bait, weight of the bait, yo-yoing. A lot of times you want to step it up to a half ounce. You know, jackhammers go up to 1.25 ounce. You know, the offshore, if you're an offshore reservoir fisherman in the summer months, your offshore fish, your brush pile fish, your ledge fish, they're not seeing chatterbaits. At 3/4, that'll get her done. At 1.25 ounce, that'll get her done. So keep that in mind as an option. But the bread and butter part of this discussion is what we kind of went over.
Yep.
But don't hesitate to throw your chatterbait offshore in the same place you drag a football jig. Don't even hesitate to throw your chatterbait offshore in the same place you fish a Carolina rig. Don't even hesitate. Get it up on a 3/4, get up on 1.25 ounces, and get to it. The same thing goes the other direction. Don't hesitate to go to that BFS size chatterbait. You know, it doesn't have to be jackhammer either. You can go Evo, excellent chatterbait. You can go tungsten Evo, totally different sound pattern. You need to, you know, again, as the full-time chatterbait guy, you need to add that to your life. So there's more we want to cover on this topic, and we are waiting for an arrival of another chatterbait. And when that comes in, we're going to be excited to bring that to you, and we're going to continue the chatterbait discussion. Also, we're really excited for you to comment on our social media about like your chatterbait experiences or what you liked about this chatterbait discussion or what we missed on this chatterbait discussion. Like it, share it with us, comment. We would love for that. And while you're at it, if you'd press them buttons and like, share, and comment on our platforms, we would appreciate that. Mike, what else do we want to talk about on this Chatterbait World Tour? You know, it's you can't cover it all. Well, what else do you like?
Yeah, I mean,
because I have something that's clearly in my mind.
Yeah, the problem.
I want to see if you're with me.
The problem with chatterbait fishing is, and what we get is, you know, what rod do you throw? You know, what rod are you using for your chatterbait? You know,
you're on your game, son.
Well, you know, we have we carry a huge selection of chatterbait rods in here. You know, all different brands from all different manufacturers, and everybody makes one. And you know, from glass to composite to you know, 100% graphite. You know, some people like this, some people like that, and you know, it gets confusing.
Yeah. So the correct answer is there is no one answer. You know, if you're going to embrace the chatterbait lifestyle beyond what you're currently doing, you're going to need to address your setup. And you should do it with an open mind. You know, a couple years ago we did a show on this very topic, and Mike was here. Corbin was a guest, and they were pretty aggressive about their anti-glass stance. And I said, well, hold on now. Not so fast, my friends. Mm-hmm. You know, you have to put that rod in your hands and you have to fish it for a while. Now, one of the things I learned about from my style of fishing, I like a glass rod in more of an open water environment. So I haven't mastered the glass in the grass. You know what I'm saying? I haven't mastered the glass rod in the grass. A lot of people have. You know, here's probably two of the 3 or 4 options I could have grabbed. I mean, we can't look at them all. So this rod is made specifically for chatterbait fishing. But it's also a crankbait rod. This is a 7. Oh, I grabbed the wrong one. Well, a 7.4 heavy in this rod. So it's the Legend glass. I was in a hurry. My bad. I have it. It's a 7.4 heavy in this rod. So it's glass, very, very heavy glass. Let me show you what it's designed after. So here's the most famous glass chatterbait rod of them all. It's the Evergreen Combat Stick.
Brett Height rod?
Yep, it's the jackhammer rod. It says jackhammer right on it. And it's glass. And it's a heavy glass, 7.3. And it's got this zone right here. When you take a glass rod and you do this, and it's hard to do that, that's the right rod. The tip, I mean, that is a ton of pressure on there. There's a lot of power, even though it seems like that tip's slower, softer. What happens on the glass rod is they eat it, and there's almost a delay. You get very few missed fish. My thing, guys, is in the grass. I can't. My percentage of cleaning it off in the grass is low.
Yeah, I can't stand glass rods in the grass. That's me. I have to have a.
But you have to have a heavy glass. You can't try a medium heavy glass in the grass and expect to like it. You'll hate it.
Yeah.
The heavy, I still don't like.
Yeah, it's just not for me. I don't know. I just like the graphite, be able to clean it in the grass, pop it loose, kill it, do all that stuff. But you know, Brett Height won millions of dollars on that rod, and he fishes it for everything. So it's kind of crazy that way.
I'm a X Pride guy. I'm a Zodius guy, and I'm a Loomis guy when it comes to chatterbaiting graphite. I like a medium heavy, fast.
Yep.
And when I get in heavy grass and around big fish, I go to a heavy fast. But most of the time, 99% of the time, I'm fishing an 843 Loomis, a 7.2 medium heavy X Pride, a 7.2 medium heavy Zodius, a 7.2 or 3 medium heavy Poison Adrena. And like I say, if I get in some thicker, heavier grass and I'm catching big fish, I go to the heavy power and the 844. 15-pound fluorocarbon, 2 20-pound fluorocarbon, 15 to 20. Do not fish below 15. Don't do it. You cannot cite a good enough reason to me to do that. You can't.
Yeah.
You want a 15 to 20 fluorocarbon.
Yeah, that'll work really good for you. And for you braid guys, I have no problem with braid. I in grass, honestly, there's times where I will have a both a fluorocarbon and a braided hooked up ready to go, because sometimes that grass just is so thick, or it's just so weird. It's a weird type of grass. It's giving me trouble. I'm not cleaning real good. Can't get the hook set right, because there's so much grass. Then I like that braid, and I have no problem with braid for that.
I'm not going to sit here and go anti-braid either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's the deal. The hardcore weekend guy tends to go fluorocarbon, where the pro full-time guy tends to go braid.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's a time on the water thing. I don't know if it's just getting so dialed in.
I like the braid. When
I started fishing a chatterbait, I fished exclusively on braid.
Yeah.
Now I don't ever fish it on braid. I love it on fluorocarbon. That's me. Mike makes a good point here. Experiment with the braid. Now, you know what? If you're fishing glass and braid go together real well.
Yeah.
That's a good combination. Now, on the reel. I see no reason for a slow reel. Most of the time when you set the hook on a chatterbait fish, you have to get that rod back in front of you. You have to regain control of that fish. And, if you're turning 34 inches of line per crank versus 29, that's a huge difference. So me, I'm a full-size reel 7.2 to 8 guy. And if I had my druthers, it's going to be like a 7 ratio, 7.2, whatever they make. I freaking love the Shimano Bantam for that situation.
Great reel.
I like them all, but
great reel.
I'm kind of partial to that. And I'm not saying that I wouldn't hesitate to differentiate between, in your top brands. Like, let's just take Shimano. I would not hesitate to differentiate between a Corrado M, a Corrado DC. As a matter of fact, one of our chatterbait combos has a DC on it. A Bantam, a Metanium. I'm not differentiating.
Yeah.
But you're going to make a majillion casts. You want a good setup that you're comfortable with, that you are tuned in with. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is, keep in mind, the chatterbait is an excellent skipping bait. The chatterbait skips great. You need to master skipping the chatterbait. When you start getting into shoreline cover, when you start getting into overhangs, when you start getting into boat docks, marina slips, laydowns.
Time out.
Skipping.
Time out. Do not. Be very careful around the laydowns with the chatterbait. Those things don't go through wood for shit.
Well, for you, they don't.
They're terrible.
Because you're a bull in a china shop.
They're terrible in the wood, and everybody will tell you that.
Your problem is
they're terrible.
And don't take this personally.
You'll lose a lot of them if you start throwing in thick in the trees. You're gonna lose a lot of them.
You have no finesse.
Yeah, I got a lot of game in the timber.
You do.
Chatterbait just throws a curveball in it.
Well, I do have something coming up in the near future.
Yes.
That is going to
help with that situation.
Yeah. But I can't really go down that path yet.
Yeah.
But very, very soon I'm going to. But I will say this, you can finesse them through some timber, but these skip well. Okay, so keep in mind with your setup. Okay, keep in mind with your setup. You need to be able to skip. You cannot be the complete chatterbait guy without skipping. If you can't skip, you're almost there, but you're not there yet. You're not a black belt. And you know what's nice about a chatterbait? They're easy to skip. So you learn, not only that, you learn how to skip. Right?
Yeah.
So again, going back to those combos, keep that in mind. Yeah. And I used to not like to go very much over 7 foot for skipping purposes. So therefore, that's why we're in that 7 to 7.2 range.
Yeah. 7 to 7.2 will get the job done. It'll cast nice. Starting to like the 8 to 1 for my chatterbait fishing in the grass.
Nothing wrong with it.
I like a 7 to 1 for smallmouth fishing, but I like in the grass. I do like the 8 to 1.
Nothing wrong with it. Nothing.
But yeah, I think that covers it pretty good, George.
Well, it covers it. It doesn't cover it real good, but
pretty good.
Pretty good.
I said pretty good.
Pretty good.
It's just the reason why
I love this topic because
that's the reason why we got to have multiple shows on chatterbait fishing.
We're going to.
Yeah.
Trust me. We are going to. We have a break in the chatterbait frontier coming, and we're going to break that down for you, and also talk about the benefits of that particular chatterbait that we're going to break down for you. And we'll get into that chatterbait swing a little more, but I just think to recap this whole thing, if you're not like a hardcore believer, maybe 2026 is the year that you say, I'm put that chatterbait in my hand and I'm going to commit to it. I'm telling you right now,
it's one of them baits.
You will absolutely catch more fish.
It's one of them baits.
There's absolutely no type of cover, scenario, current, no current, shallow, deep, nothing. Clear, dirty. There's nothing that a chatterbait doesn't address.
Yep.
So, if that doesn't have you motivated right now and fired up just to run straight through a block wall, then I can't do much more there. I can't do much more for you there.
Yep.
But if you'd like to more in-depth one-on-one discussion, feel free to stop by or call. And we will we'll go deep into weeds here. I got boxes full of these things here that we can discuss. I pulled them out of the boat here because it's time to reload. It's time to reload for 26. My chatterbait game needs dialed back in again, man. I tore some chatterbaits up this year.
Yeah.
I mean, tore some chatterbaits up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, another great show. Thank you everybody for joining tonight. We love having you with us and really appreciate it. Don't forget, if you have any questions with any of the show information, you can feel free to call us if you didn't get your question answered. Lots of great questions coming through. You can call the shop and we can help you out with that. We're here to help you guys pick Christmas gifts. If you're having problems with picking out the right Christmas gift for one of the people on your list, please give us a call or stop in. We'll help you with that. Walk you through.
Don't ask me though.
Yeah.
I'm 100% bah humbug.
Yeah. Well, we I don't even know what to say about that.
I'm going gift card.
And a gift card, but we can help you with some great gift ideas. It's what we do. So you can check out the SFT Boys box, the money box. That's
pretty cool.
That's a great little gift idea. So check that out. But thank you guys so much. Appreciate you, and we'll catch you on the next Tackle Shop Live. Sunny day, right there you took my breath away. A young and pretty, was it just a dream?
The next day you called me up. You told me I'm your little buttercup. You came over and you fell into my arms. Well, I know what I feel. Please tell me your love is real. You make me